a curveball to the producers. Hey, Paul, you got the morning meeting theme song? You got that queued up? You play that? Let's see if you can do it.
Which one?
The standard one.
Dealer's
Anyway,
choice.
good morning. Welcome, everybody. We'll wait for the theme song. Thank you for being part of the morning meeting. Sean, Dan, and I will walk you through the day. Various things going on. Here we go. And hit the theme song.
Ah, yeah.
Welcome to the morning meeting with Mark and Sean and Dan. If you should think of a question, all you gotta do is raise your hand. With a presumption of grace to all. Peace, love, and understanding during the call.
All right, that's enough of that. I just wanted to get some of our themes introduced into the bloodstream here. Peace, love, and understanding is a very tense time in America, and I didn't share this with Sean and Dan, but guys, I received numerous emails from our community members asking you both to be fired. They say you ruined the show. You're so horrible. You're so partisan. And again, I'll just say to everybody, this show is different than other shows. If you don't like what Dan said, you don't like what Sean said, stay with us. You'll learn.
I need to issue an apology then, which is I want to state unequivocally, I'm sorry if you're offended that I offended you.
Don't.
I'm sorry that people were offended that they offended the people.
I may be allowed home for Thanksgiving.
I just don't want to spend my day responding to emails from people saying I can never watch again because Dan is so partisan. I can never watch again because Sean is so partisan. People, just
That's
understand.
not what I said. That's not what I said.
Exactly.
Oh,
understand what we're doing. Understand what we're doing here, and note that today, a Guinness Book of World Record will be broken by Dan Turrentine because Dan is appearing on not one, not two, not three, but 4 two-ways. Is that correct? Is it 4 or is it 5?
That is correct. That is correct today.
Dan is going to be on with Michael Moynihan. He's going to be on this show. He's going to be on this show. He's going to be on the group chat, and he's going to join me on two-way tonight. So, Dan, congratulations.
Full Turrentine.
It's possible I've done 4 in a day, so you might be just tying me.
Yeah, you have to do a full. If he's going to do them in studio, it's a full Turrentine.
Yeah, and a reminder that if you want to be part of the two-way family, the morning meeting club, do like Sean Spicer does and wear gear from Fairway and Green, logos. You got anything on the sleeve of that one, Sean?
Negative.
Anyway, you can get lots of stuff. Go to twoway.tv/fairway, and you can buy all sorts of great golf apparel, including a shirt just like Sean is wearing. And you can get on the sleeve, you can get Don't Put Smack in the Chat, conversations like no other, peace, love, and understanding. Sean, tell them once again how they can get a special discount.
Thanks, Mark. If you're interested in buying any of the goods that Mark mentioned, ladies, we've got yours as well. Christmas and the holidays are coming. Go to twoway.tv/fairway and use code TWOWAY20 for 20% off anything on the site. That's code TWOWAY20, the numeral 2way20 for 20% off everything on the site. That's right. The morning meeting gear, two-way gear, or frankly, any of the amazing products they have at Fairway and Green.
Thank you, Sean. All right, back to the program again. If you're here on the two-way platform, please raise your hand if you want to be in on the conversation. If you're watching on YouTube or X, no smack in the chat. Okay? Here we go, gentlemen. The daybook. The President of the United States still doing the foreign policy thing at the White House today, meeting with the president of Turkey. Everything in theory is closed press. I find it hard to believe there'll be nothing, but greets him at 11, meets with him bilat 11:15, lunch. I think they're having Turkish delight for lunch, 11:45. He signs executive orders at 3:30. Again, all closed press right now, and then meets with the PM of Pakistan, 4:30. So as of now, the president with a full schedule, but nothing open press. We shall see if that changes.
We think the Nobel Peace Prize is mentioned today.
Mentioned, it'll come up.
Yes.
Sean, the radio pool is SRN. SRN.
Salem Radio News, Mark. Salem
Exactly.
Radio News.
Salem Radio News, a big conservative media outlet. Don't know what the vice president's doing. Congress is out. And the job claims came out at 8:30. Here's what CNBC says about those.
Pretty good.
Jobless claims tumbled to 218,000, well below estimates despite fears of labor market weakness. Another piece of data that just shows a jumbled picture. We talked about this, David Bonson, yesterday. There's pick 'em. There's data that says the economy is doing great. Data suggests Midland. Data suggests poor. Don't know. Kamala Harris is in Philadelphia tonight, day 2 of her book tour. And good news for those of you in Philadelphia, maybe less good news for Vice President Harris. Tickets are still available. Put up that graphic. Here you go. This morning, this was a couple hours ago. You want to sit in mezzanine 4, which looks like a pretty good place to sit. $83 a ticket. A little more. Orchestra B, $101.
So is blue available or white available?
I think blue's available. Man. I played around. There were a lot of seats available, but then there was a little thing that came up that said, well, not the whole section's not available. I think just some seats in those sections. But a little thing popped up on my screen that said, act now, because a lot of people are on here buying tickets. So we'll see. We'll see how it does. Well, we'll talk about the vice president's book tour and what happened last night in just a moment. But our top story this morning, Dan, you know that's a reference to Garrett Moore, Saturday Night Live. Our top story this morning, okay, just making sure, is something that's not getting a lot of coverage. A Reuters exclusive, here it is. I think this is the biggest story in the world because everybody says now that drones are everything. Zelensky says drones are the whole thing in his war. The Pentagon says the future of military, forget space or sea or ground or air. It's drones or human air. Here's the Reuters exclusive. Chinese drone experts worked with sanctioned Russian arms makers, sources say. Do we have a paragraph from this story? I don't think we do. Anyway, it says that some Chinese drone experts went to Russia and they're collaborating on drones. Sean, how right am I that this is like a massive thing if the Chinese and the Russians are collaborating on drone technology?
It's huge. I mean, look, this is the new threat. So, yeah, I mean, and it just the coordination thereof is a big deal on both ends. It's going to be a big problem in the 7th Fleet. So, I mean, I think this is one of those problems that I know that they are on in the Pentagon, but I think that most Americans probably don't realize the full threat that's existing right now in the world when it comes to drone technology.
Dan, I'm no Michael Beschloss, but my historical analogy would be the space wars of the 60s when the Russians seemed to get out in front and the U.S. Put a lot behind it. We are collaborating with the Ukrainians who've developed an incredible drone business. But do you share the concern of your co-host that this is existential?
Absolutely. Because not only are they working with them to develop drones, I'm sure they're looking at Western technology to stop drones, to jam drones, everything else. And they're just, vacuuming up all the data for their own use. And if they were to try to take Taiwan, I have no doubt drones will be the tip of the spear.
We talk about threats. We didn't get to it because of all the news, but this Secret Service threat that was uncovered in New York, where you guys would have lost your cell service, and wouldn't be able to access TikTok for a couple hours.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I think that like the threats that we're facing are so different and so prevalent, and it's not just state actors, it's non-state actors, but like this is the kind of stuff where like they could have turned that stuff off while the UN was here. A, highly embarrassing, but B, a massive, massive threat that would have come our way.
So I brought this up and led with it in part because of the story, Sean, you referenced about the phone jamming in New York. There's a lot going on in the world and a lot of stories, and certainly the fate of a late night comedian is extremely important. But we like to keep the main thing, and this is a massive story. All right, we'll keep. I'll be curious to see if people pick it up. Reuters is a weird beast in the media solar system, ecosystem, whatever you want to call it. Like if that were a front page New York Times story, people would be paying a lot more attention. My guess is most of you are hearing about that Reuters story here for the first time because Reuters is not necessarily part of your morning appetite, but I'll be curious to see where that goes. All right. I don't think this one will
I'm on a low-carb breakfast, so I don't do as much Reuters.
I understand.
Oh, and by the way, if the Trump people are trying to break Russia from China, they don't seem to be doing a very good job.
Well, exactly. All right. This one won't take us long, I don't think, because I know what Dan already is going to say. Trump in Ukraine. David Sanger, the New York Times, very well-sourced guy. There's a Washington Post story along the same lines. There's a Wall Street Journal editorial, all basically saying everybody misread what Trump was saying about Ukraine. He was basically washing his hands of Ukraine, saying, okay, you and Europe can try to win the war, but we're done. And we're just rooting you on, as opposed to saying we're done because you suck. Here's my question, Dan. The president basically is not putting the ball in Putin's court. He's putting the ball in Europe's court. Yep. If Europe doesn't do anything, will the White House convince John Thune not to move a sanctions bill, or will the Senate be so determined that they'll move it even if the White House says no?
Thune will do whatever Trump tells him to do. So nothing will move through the Senate.
Okay. And go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, he won't do anything. And I think Trump ping pongs, between like washing his hands, but not wanting this on his watch. And I think the question is just, both you and Sean have said, going back to February, Rubio and everyone around Trump does not want to have on their tombstone that they lost Ukraine. And I think the question is, are they resigned to like goodbye, or are they truly just throwing a little bit of a tantrum to say, Europe, you have to do this?
Sean, if the ball is in Europe's court, do we have any reason to think that Europe's going to cut off themselves from Russian energy, which they've not done for 4 years?
No, but I do like the fact that we're forcing their hand. And I think more broadly, what Trump has done is said, we'll give you the weapons if you buy them. This is your backyard. You guys need to step up and take responsibility for it. We will help you. We will support you, but we're not going to lead the effort. And it's time that you grew up and left the house on your own. And so we'll give you the weapons, but you have to purchase them. We will help support you, but you have to take the lead. And I don't know why this is controversial. The idea that everyone wants the U.S. to do this while they continue to buy Russian oil, gas, and other things using the SWIFT banking system to take oligarch money, et cetera. And then we're supposed to battle it. So they're going to basically fund Russia on the front end, and then we have to battle them on the back end. That's insane. I think Trump forcing their hand is a smart political move, the same way that he forced it on NATO and the same way that he's forcing it on tariffs.
All right.
One interesting thing is, if Europe does cut off Russian oil, the price of oil around the world is going to go up because someone's going to have to provide it from the stockpile that we're using right now.
It's crappy oil, just to be clear. It's a dirty oil. I mean,
oil's oil, man. The price of gas goes up to $5. See how Americans feel next summer.
All right, we got to move on because we got a lot to get to. All right, survey of the two of you. Raise your hand if you think prosecutors should look to indict people for political reasons. Raise your hand if you think prosecutors should look. No one thinks that. Dan, serious question. I want a serious answer, thoughtful answer. Would you say that the press is quite interested in covering the concept that President Trump is orchestrating a political indictment of an enemy? Do you say that gets a lot of coverage? Yep. That concept, it does. What didn't get a lot of coverage was when Alvin Bragg and what's her name? Letitia James did the same thing. Why does the press, even now, and just to take the Alvin Bragg case, even liberal legal analysts said that was a very weak case, a very unorthodox case, and some would say the same thing. So why does the press not, when they're writing about those indictments, both contemporaneously and now, why don't they say Donald Trump faced exactly what his enemies are saying he's doing now? Why doesn't the press?
Well, there's one difference there, and we can argue over it, which is that if reports are true, Trump or people around Trump are overruling the Justice Department people, the U.S. attorneys that have recommended there is no.
Investigation. In this case, both James and Bragg ran for office saying we're going to get Trump.
I hear you.
But they were the ultimate decision makers. You're citing a difference, which is the executive. It seems to be ordering the prosecutors to do something,
and they're firing those who won't.
Well, but this again, but in the case of at least one of the two, in the case of Bragg, there were people who recommended against the indictment.
But the previous DA said no.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, look, what you're doing.
But Dan, I'm asking why the press covers one extensively. They frame the whole thing that way. That this whole thing is not about, there's no interest in whether Comey broke the law. I've seen not a single thing in the coverage in the last 24 hours. Did Comey break the law? All the coverage is Trump is ordering this. So I'm asking you, why did the press never frame the two indictments in New York of Trump that way? Why not?
I think it depends which press you read. To conservative press, it was all they talked about.
Let's take the New York Times.
Well, but again, so I agree with you, and I have said that those prosecutions were
Agree
wrong.
with me about what? I'm asking. I didn't say anything. Why did the press not cover it that way?
Again, conservative press covered it.
No, New York Times. I'm asking New York Times, specifically New York Times. I've read every story in the New York Times about those two prosecutions. I've never read even a reference to the fact that these prosecutors ran for office.
Oh, they did in retrospect. Yeah, no, they did. Look, it blew up in our face.
All right. Let's talk about Comey.
Look, I mean, look,
let's
Mark,
talk about
part
Comey.
of this is, and I need to say it because it goes to Kimmel, it goes to everything else. We're living in alternate universes. Conservative press covers what conservative press wants and frames it how they want, and progressive media covers what they want
and frames
it how they want.
But the New York Times claims it's not progressive media; it claims it's fair media.
But it's not. We all know it. I mean, that's a farce.
All right. Sorry to spend so much time on that, but the reason I do is because Comey is a weird figure. He is not beloved by the right. If it weren't for Comey, Donald Trump would not be president. New York Times headline, U.S. Attorney races to present case against Comey. It remains to be seen whether a career prosecutor would be willing to present a case to a grand jury or whether jurors would bring an indictment. So this hangs in the balance. The statute of limitations on the charge about lying to Congress runs out on Tuesday. And as the headline in the New York Times makes clear, it's possible that the new U.S. attorney could say indict, and a career prosecutor would say, I'm not going to do it. And they'd probably eventually find someone who would. And it's possible that the grand jury would refuse. But my question is this. What do we know about whether Comey broke the law or not, plausibly? Like, do either of you know anything about the facts? What did he lie to Congress about?
Well, the allegation is that he lied to Congress in
about
September.
What? About what?
Of 21, about whether he leaked classified information. I believe, from what I read, that is the allegation. Yeah. Did he lie to Congress?
Yeah, and the Inspector General's lauded by Democrats as the arbiters of good and justice, already said that Comey did it.
Well, but here's the thing, Mark, that you just have to put on the table. It is being reported that the U.S. attorney looked into it, did not find a case. It is also being reported that Pam Bondi...
Didn't say find a case. He said it was apparently weak.
Okay, and Pam Bondi apparently has said to the president also she believes this is very weak. What is new is the idea then of saying, I don't care, you guys are out, find me somebody who's going to bring it. Again, Letitia James and Alvin Bragg ran. You can say, okay, it's crazy the voters put them in on that platform. Fine, that's a thing. But what seems to be a new line is just outright, I'm going to fire people until I find somebody who brings what I want to happen.
Outrageous is true, but so is running and saying I'm going to indict somebody before investigation.
So lawfare for revenge is okay, we're saying.
No, I'm saying neither is okay. I'm saying
I haven't heard you say this is not okay.
It's not okay. I'm making it clear. It's not okay. It's outrageous. It truly is one of the and
most
again
bonkers thing I've ever heard.
Yes, except that Comey is a habitual liar for self-interest. So I wouldn't be surprised if he did commit a crime. And I don't know why those people refuse to indict him.
To your point, the Inspector General, who has already put on the table that he did do things. So that is a true statement. The question is, it is a legal decision about whether or not, and again, all of the reporting, which we have not heard the former now Eastern District U.S. Attorney of Virginia, nor have we heard from Pam Bondi. We've heard what the New York Times and others say they said privately. Correct. But even if you accept their reporting, it says that the case was weak. Not that he's not guilty, not that he didn't do it. They just weren't sure that they could get a guilty verdict, which is a very different threshold. I still think, and by the way, total dorky note, I think that's the first time that Haberman and Glenn Thrush have actually teamed back up.
Not true.
Really?
Yep. I'm a student of both bylines. They've teamed up before.
No. That they've double byline since Glenn.
Yes, Glenn's been back for a long time, Sean.
I know that.
They've double bylined. They have. Right. I promise.
Okay.
Exit question.
Can I ask this? Do we think, just to be clear, because I want to put a pin in this, do we think before the statute deadline occurs, Comey will be indicted?
Well, that's one of the two exit questions. Here we go. Exit questions, double header. Will Comey be indicted, and will he plead guilty or be convicted? Either one. Will he or will he be acquitted is what I'm holding out. Will he be indicted, and will he either be convicted or acquitted? Yes, no questions. Sean, indicted?
Indicted 100%.
Dan?
Yes, 100% agree with Sean.
All right, and will he either be acquitted or convicted, as opposed either plead guilty or convicted, as opposed to acquitted? Will he be?
So this is where the question comes in. What charge is brought against him?
We don't know. You're predicting in the void.
I know, but that matters.
Well, what's your prediction? Will there be a guilty verdict or plea?
Yes, at a misdemeanor level.
Dan.
I don't know. I don't know enough about this yet.
All right. Politico reported, and everybody's matched.
If you're doing full McLaughlin, you have to go. The correct answer is
indicted and acquitted at trial. Okay. And the left still won't like him.
And the judge will get impeached?
Yes. Politico, White House agencies prepare mass firings for a potential shutdown. This is one of the cards the White House is playing in the shutdown wars. There's still no obvious solution to what's going to happen, although Jeanne Shaheen and other Democrats and some Republican senators are saying if you promise a future vote on the Obamacare subsidies, you could get 10 Democratic senators. So there may not be a shutdown. There may be this as much to do about nothing. But this threat of firings, Dan, how much does the threat of firing strengthen, if at all, the Republicans' hand?
Strengthens a lot. I mean, shoot, they were worried about this in March, and they should be. I mean, you're giving the green light to Russ Vought to do what he wanted to do, and they're not going to lose any sleep over it. And politically, you're now again defending the bureaucracy, and that's a tough place to be.
Sean, before you answer, can you say Russ Vought fast 10 times?
No. Did I say it wrong?
No, you didn't say it wrong. No. It's a lot like toy boat. It's just hard to do.
Vote.
Huh? Vote. Russ Vought.
Right. Russ Vought. Russ Vought. Russ Vought. Russ Vought. Russ Vought. Russ Vought. Russ Vought.
Oh, that's a progressive nightmare right there.
Didn't make it to 10. All right, Sean, is Dan's analysis correct?
I'll just say one word: checkmate, because I think that is in chess world one. But what they did was brilliant, because Schumer thought that he had all the cards. I mean, Dan's been saying this for weeks. He has no idea what he's dealing with. And so he's basically forcing Democrats like Mark Warner and Tim Kaine now from Virginia. Jeanne Shaheen mentioned, obviously, New Hampshire, not as big of a deal, but that they're suddenly going to have to recognize that if they do this, they're giving the green light to a lot of their constituents who are federal employees who are going to go nuts. And I think, I think this was a brilliant chess move that in a game that normally is normally played at the checkers level, this was brilliant. And it put them on notice that if you don't want to just keep the government open, we'll take advantage of it.
All right. The Democratic Party gubernatorial candidates in Virginia and New Jersey both looked to be cruising to election in open seats, and both were touted as potential presidential candidates in 2028, the kind of more moderate national security credentialed figures who the party says they need as front and center. Dan reported several weeks ago that the New Jersey candidate was thinking of running for president after her expected victory. Dan, what are the names of your two candidates?
Nikki Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger.
Yeah, and they're friends, and again, they both have national security credentials. The Virginia race still looks pretty safe for the Democrats, but oh my goodness, and this is not out of the blue because poll after poll has showed this race tightening. Here's a new poll.
I have said since the spring, keep an eye on New Jersey.
Emerson poll in New Jersey shows the race tied between the Republican Nikki Sherrill, who, if she loses this race, will probably not be running for president in 2028, I would guess, and Jack. How do you pronounce Jack's name?
Citarelli.
Here is Mr. Citarelli on cable news, CNBC Squawk Box, celebrating 107.
But I'm not shocked one bit by that poll. It's very consistent with what we've seen in internal polling for weeks, and it's very consistent with what I see up and down the state. In the last 5 weeks alone, 3 Democratic mayors have even endorsed my candidacy. People want change.
Gentlemen, I make him the favorite in the race right now.
Yep.
I think he's got momentum. He's a Jersey guy. He did very well out of the blue previously in a statewide race, and both these Democratic candidates, very credentialed people, both have proven to be not particularly good candidates under pressure. Both have stumbled. Sean, and then Dan.
I would just say that I feel very confident. If you look at the crosstab, first of all, I'm not a big believer in the Emerson poll, but look at the crosstabs of where she's falling short right now. These are areas where this revival, post Charlie Kirk, She is going to have a problem with young men and Maha women. I think the same thing, Virginia. I actually think we're going to pull out both races, but I think that Jack is going to. Oh, just take that clip, Paul. Make sure you get Mark shaking his head. We would play it the day after the election.
For those on the podcast, Mark is shaking his head at Sean.
Yep. So I feel, I mean, Jack to me is probably going to pull this out a lot bigger than we thought. I think we'll pull it over the finish line in Virginia, but the momentum right now is shifting in both races significantly, probably more so in New Jersey than Virginia. But I do feel very good. When we look at some of the early voting numbers in Virginia, it's still early, but I feel very good. And the issue with Winsome, by the way, is she just needs more money. The RGA, the Republican Governor Association, came in the other day. She's being badly outspent, but I think that when she does respond, it's strong. And to your point about Abigail Spanberger is running the Biden basement campaign of trying to hide and stay away from folks. And I just don't think it's going to work.
Dan, what has happened to Cheryl and Spanberger? They both were touted as great political athletes, and my Twitter feed's filled regularly with them doing interviews and other public appearances where they're not very sure-footed.
No, and I think they've struggled. Like Spanberger was primarily anti-Trump and anti the Doge cuts. And I think Mickey Sherrill just kind of tried to put her head down and not make a mistake here. And I think that they've both kind of, I've said this for months, to keep an eye on New Jersey. I think the dynamics here are, and here being New Jersey, are a little bit different. I think the state is trending a little more closer to Pennsylvania than New York in terms of the kind of makeup. It's middle class, suburban. People are frustrated with property taxes, and kind of Democrats have owned the state for so long now. I do think what I'm going to be curious about is, do Democrats rush money into one or both? So Republicans have done it because I think they had the money and it's like you only have two places. What do you start seeing surrogates show up, and who's willing to come? Like, does Obama hit the trail? Does Bill Clinton hit the trail?
Yes.
Are certain people welcome? Do you see outside third parties now pump in 5, 10, 15, $20 million in both, in one? Like, what do you do? And that'll be a tell about whether they're seeing the same data.
And I will say this, two things. One is Virginia has no campaign finance limits, number one. Number two, the RGA can take unlimited, or both parties, the RGA and the DGA can take soft money. That's a big help to your point, Dan. There's a lot more money that can flow in. But to your surrogate point, I asked the president this in the Oval Office the other day, would you or do you plan to campaign for the Republican ticket? He did not give. There's some. They're obviously not a strong relationship.
Sean,
I could see Trump showing up in New Jersey.
Not a strong relationship with
Winsome Sears.
Yes, Sean. Let's hear your New Jersey robocall by Donald Trump. Let's hear that.
Hey, New Jersey, it's your favorite president, Donald Trump. Jack Ciattarelli will make a great governor, unlike your current governor, who's horrible, and this woman who's taking a lot of money, making money in office. Vote for Jack.
There you go.
You know what, though?
Mark it down. There'll be robocalls. Yeah.
If Trump were to come, I think to New Jersey, it would completely fire up Republicans, right? Fire up Ciattarelli. Cheryl would make it all about Trump.
Yeah, that's why I think that's why it's going to
Ciattarelli's advantage.
Well, maybe, but that's why robocalls rather than an appearance.
Boy, I'll be curious.
Yeah,
but I still can't believe he got it. Like we got to go into Virginia. He did it for Glenn.
We got to go here. I'm not going to play sound because I want to get through these last three topics real quick, or just two actually. We'll skip moment of national crisis because it could take an hour.
It's ongoing. It will happen.
Yeah, exactly. Kamala Harris was protested last night at her New York events by pro-Palestinian protesters. She handled the hecklers, sort of. Scott Bessent, I recommend you go watch him on Maria Bartiromo, where he just laid into Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg. It was quite something. We won't play that. Last night, so there's this national tour that Charlie Kirk was supposed to do that he's not doing because he's been assassinated, and people on his behalf are doing some of these events. And last night, Megyn Kelly and Glenn Youngkin did an event in Virginia. If you're interested in that dynamic, I recommend that video to you. And just to double back on Harris, we've seen stories now criticizing the book tour, her performance, some scathing stuff. What we haven't seen is the Bidens, including Hunter Biden, come at her And I think if the Bidens read the full book, they'll see there's even more in there that would make them unhappy. Jill Biden, 116, please. Jill Biden was supposed to do an event this Saturday at the Kaiser Permanente Arena in Santa Cruz, and it was canceled. No reason given. Dan, are the Bidens going to come back at Kamala Harris for attacking them pretty frontally in the book?
Yes, I think the question is, do they do it now or do they wait for their own books?
Yeah.
And which, don't forget, are coming out. Both of them have Joe and Jill, and build up around that and start dropping tidbits. And obviously they're going to do a book tour either separately or together. So I think strategically, why fire all those shots now? Let it build for your books.
Totally agree. In fact, if their publisher's smart, they're grabbing them and saying, please don't talk. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. I still predict they're coming at her because I bet they haven't read the book yet. But man, Dan, have you finished the book?
No, I had to go do a personal thing yesterday. So I'm hoping to finish it tonight or tomorrow.
Right. Is that pictures?
It does. It does.
It does have pictures. Yeah. All right. We're going to get to your question in a moment, in 1 minute. If you want to be in on the conversation and you're here on the two-way platform, please raise your hand. We'd love to hear from new people. So if you've never raised your hand, today'd be a good day to do it. But before that, a word from our sponsor, CB Distillery. Having trouble sleeping? Dan never has trouble sleeping, but most of us do.
Sure, I do.
Dan sleeps like a baby. But you know, there's nights where you can't sleep. You wake up the next day not refreshed, or say you've exercised and you're feeling a little bit sore after that, or maybe have mood and focus issues. One thing that works for many, it's the great products from CB Distillery, clean ingredients, no fillers, just premium CBD. Imagine waking up feeling relaxed and ready to go. Over 2 million people trust the products from CB Distillery, and now you have an opportunity to try them at an incredible discount, 25% off your entire purchase. Go to cbdistillery.com. Use the promo code TWOWAY for 25% off your entire purchase. Give yourself a chance to sleep better, be more relaxed, feel like good in your own skin again, cbdistillery.com. Promo code is TWOWAY, cbdistillery.com. Dan, do you know how to spell distillery?
Actually, I think the promo code for that is Mark.
No, I'm told it's two-way.
Okay.
For this program. Dan, do you know how to spell distillery?
I think so. Yeah.
Go ahead, give it a try.
Distillery.
Correct.
Yeah.
You have to say the word at the end. You have to say distillery.
Do I have the promo code wrong? Now Sean's got me wondering. I'm just reading what's put in front of me. I think there's different promo codes for different shows, so they
always
can
reminds
track
me of Ron Burgundy.
how I'm doing. All right. Yeah. All right. No one's correcting me, so I'm assuming I'm right. All right, folks. Lots of new hands up, which makes us excited.
Oh.
Huh? Somebody say, all right, Michael Flanagan. That's, except for maybe Chauncey Gardner, probably the best Irish name I can imagine. Mr. Flanagan, welcome in, sir.
This is great, Mark. I've been listening to the show on YouTube since the beginning. This is the first time that I'm on Zoom and you picked me, so I'm very happy.
That's because we gravitate towards the Irish. Welcome in.
By the way, since you brought it up, Mark, today at noon, the Irish Embassy is opening the Chancellery for the first time in D.C. Big deal for us Irish. I don't know if the ambassador wanted me to say that, but today at noon.
All right. Mr. Flanagan, tell us where you are. What's on your mind for Sean and Dan?
I live in New Jersey, but I grew up in what was referred to as the 51st state.
D.C.
Western Massachusetts. We get no representation there at all.
Yeah, you make a good
point.
Used to. Where in Western Mass?
West Springfield.
West Springfield.
I've been in Jersey now for 35 years, so.
Yeah. Which accent can you do better?
That's the problem. We don't have an accent in Western Mass. We might as well be from Chicago.
Yeah. Well, welcome in. We're glad to have you.
The Albany
thank you for joining. Eager to hear what's on your mind.
So on the Jersey race, I think what's really interesting is Mikey Sherrill had probably the worst debate ever. So they're using a lot of that on there. And then even better, she went on Charlemagne the God, and he asked her about all the money that she's made since she's been in the House, and she couldn't even answer it. So that's going to be a huge ad going forward. the question I had, the reason that I actually came on was, Dan, those two tweets that you had today, the one on the race and then the one that I agree with you on, the Clintons, like have been raked over the coals completely on a lot of things. But I think what's missing from the conversation is the proportionality of it. It's Fox after the Clintons. It's all of the rest of the media against the Republicans. And I think that that's just the nuance that's missing, that has so many people upset right now.
Well, I think, of course, it's a different era. The 90s were a different time than they were today. And even when she ran in 16 and she ran in 8, it in fairness to them, it was not just one cable news channel. The number of outside entities whose sole mission was to destroy them. I mean, it's been well documented now, right? The amount of money that went into all of these groups that ran through the shadows that fed stuff out was long. And the whole idea was to get them. I mean, it was to impeach them, to get her, to put sticks in the spoke of the wheel. I mean, even go back to Benghazi, when Kevin McCarthy went on TV and said, we are trying to stop her presidential campaign. That's all they were trying to do. So, I mean, to some extent, I roll my eyes at this idea that, like, oh my gosh, this is so unfair and unprecedented. It's like, no, it's not. It's just not. But, doesn't mean it's right.
Sean.
And again, I think Republicans paid a price in 98 for going after Bill Clinton, right? The public had just got fed up with it. And we paid a price in 2024 because we made Trump stronger, because the public said, this is ridiculous.
I got to say that the Charlemagne interview with her is epic. And I hope that the Citarelli people and the RGA just jam it down. She's asked about how he did a phenomenal job, by the way. You referenced that debate of bringing it up, where basically her net worth has increased massively. She sits on the Armed Services Committee. She has been trading defense stocks. And when Charlemagne said, hey, your net worth went, and I don't have the numbers right, but he said something like, when you went to Congress, you were worth $1 million. You're worth now, 26 million, or whatever the number was. And she said, really, I didn't know that. And this doesn't sound like a name drop thing, but I actually was having the conversation with Charlemagne. And he said to me, I looked at her and I said, how do you not know that your net worth increased that much? And she's like, I'll have to look into it. If I find 26 cents in the couch, I call my family. And I'm like, guys, you're never going to guess what I found. The idea that your net worth increased millions of dollars and you didn't know really just either you're that out of touch or you're covering it up really bad. And I hope they jam that down her throat, because I think most people in New Jersey would be highly offended by that.
Does anybody know when the next debate is?
Is there another one? I know in Virginia we only got one, and I think that's been the new move. Especially those two women are doing a really good job of playing the Biden basement strategy of hiding and not do anything.
Michael, what were you going to say?
I actually fell off my chair when she was mentioned on the beginning of the show as a presidential candidate, because she's been such a bad candidate. And I get inundated with the ads on both sides, and all her ads are just the traditional, like we're gonna, give tax cuts to the rich and all this other stuff. It's just boilerplate. To, like Dan's point, she's trying to play it really safe, hoping that she can hold on. But right now, I think it's pretty dubious.
I think she thought the anti-Trump mood would kind of carry her, and it reminds me a little Kathleen Kennedy Townsend.
Yeah, and the blueness of her state. Michael, when you make a mistake, the next debate is October 8th. There is another New Jersey debate. Michael, when you make a mistake, do you tend to admit it or try to gloss it over?
Or pull a Kimmel?
I usually try to admit it, just because I make so many of them. People call me out if I try to gloss it over.
Yeah. All right. And you know what? Arthur Fonzarelli always had trouble with saying it. I made a
I actually think beyond being the right thing to do, it actually tactically is a lot better.
Sean was right. The CB Distillery code is Mark. I didn't make it up. I was reading right from what was in front of me. But if you're going on cbdistillery.com and you want the discount, use the code Mark. It was Mark yesterday.
You know what? I can't dunk a ball, but I know promo codes.
I was wrong. Michael, thank you for being here. Please come back regularly. Keep us updated on the race.
And Michael, I'll just say, it wasn't my opinion she wanted to run for president. It happens to be someone who is advising her who said, we're thinking of running for president.
Yeah. After Dan reported that, I asked around, and he was absolutely right.
Yep.
By the way, I will say, since I can speak only to the Virginia one, the Spamberger team has been to my house 3 times, and I'm getting fed digital ads. If they think that there's a shot at winning me, keep going, baby. I love the fact that they're spending money trying to win me over.
Dylan,
Your
Dylan,
neighbor.
welcome in. Are you new to the program too?
I'm a first time hand raiser, but
Yeah.
I listen every morning.
And what made you today, and where are you located?
Well, you brought up what has in the past been a professional expertise of mine, and I've written a bit about it, which is drone warfare. So I was Air
Nice.
Force
Oh.
UAV pilot for about 10 years. So everything I say, the disclaimer of these are my views and not that of the DoD or the United States Air Force
Yes,
applied.
sir.
But I do think it's a huge national security concern on both sides, right? We saw, and we kind of gloss over this, but not only are the Russians using drones really effectively, but the Ukrainians took out anywhere from a quarter to a third of the strategic bombing capability of the Russians, right? And
Yep.
so I think when you kind of consider the way that they orchestrated that attack, Homeland Defense for the United States is a major concern because they essentially loaded up a bunch of pallet trucks with UAVs or UASs rather, drove them into Russia, unloaded them, and then they targeted all those bombers on the runway rather. So that's a kind of pervasive, as Sean said, this is a pervasive threat. It's not just a threat from a military standpoint; it's a threat to to centers of gravity here in the homeland. It's one that is really, really challenging to defend against. But I do take issue, Mark, with your one point, which was that this is a more dangerous threat than space. This is a part of a kill
Yeah.
web,
Yeah.
but I think that and for to get a little academic, a kill chain, right? If one component of the chain breaks, then the whole effort from a military standpoint breaks down. But a kill web, lots of chains, lots of
Yeah.
links.
Just to be clear, Dylan, I didn't mean to suggest it was more dangerous in space. It's more immediately a focus.
Yeah.
And it's going to be used more regularly than space, right? Space is going to not be at the same threshold as nuclear, which is people will be more willing to use space, but it's closer, in my view, to nuclear than it is to drones, right? Drones now, nobody sees any limits. They can be used anytime. Yep. No one's done space yet, and I think the people are going to think twice before the first time they do it. So the potential for space is overwhelming. But again, it's a practical matter, like Taiwan, as Dan said. That's what I meant to say.
No, it's one
totally
of those things
sense.
too, where we always thought we were safe as a country because we have 2 oceans. Drones would potentially limit that. I mean, the ability to hit in the United States anywhere becomes much easier with drones.
It does, yeah. And I think that the differentiator here is that, again, that is a concern. It increases the aperture from military targets to, civil targets and centers of gravity from government, but also, in coordination with an attack from space or electronic warfare, right? You're talking about an altering of our way of life. So, I mean, there is the Chinese and the Russians working together in any capacity is scary. But seeing the investment that the Chinese are putting into their space program and now this collaboration between the two nations on drone capabilities, I mean, we live in a really scary world. And I think that we get a lot of focus domestically, as we should, but I think we shouldn't keep our eye off the ball either, which is, I guess, what I was jumping in here to say.
Yeah.
All that.
Thank you for that, Dylan.
For the credentialing I threw out there. But
no, all good. Important information. Sean.
I just want to thank you for referring to him. Making finally my studies at the War College on Clausewitz finally came through by repeatedly saying center of gravity. I felt like I knew I read the book for a reason, and Dylan just reminded me why Clausewitz was such a great military thinker. So I appreciate you kicking that into my brain this morning.
Dan,
is there anything, Dylan, that you think is not that the United States is not doing? I mean, obviously, there's many things we could do, but is there a macro item that you think, hey, we're not paying attention to this, or we should be doing? Oh, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Unmute.
I think it's an education piece, right? I think it's less. I think our acquirers and our strategic leaders in the military understand what the threat environment looks like. I think it's how do we convey the threat in a way that we don't want to scare people necessarily, but we also want them to be aware and understand that there are a lot of risks out there, and that the way we spend money, the way we are doing our acquisition. I mean, there's a lot of efforts ongoing to streamline those processes because they are kind of archaic. They take too long. Things cost too much money. They are behind schedule. Those are all, like, when you kind of frame all of this within the threat environment that we face, it's really more so how do we make the American people aware of how we can tackle some of these big challenges so that we don't ever actually have to face them directly. That's
Dylan,
what
tell
I
me
would
if
say.
I'm wrong, but I actually, pulling the string off of where you're going, I think it's sort of like social media technology. And it's not just the American people, it's leaders in Congress. They want to build large platforms, ships, they want to build planes. And drones may not be as sexy and create as many jobs, but at the end of the day, that's where warfare is going. It's just not as attractive for a lot of members of Congress. And frankly, many of them don't get it. So the question is, are we evolving quick enough in terms of what we're doing defense-wise to be ready for the threats that we're going to face? And I would argue that the answer to that is pretty much no.
Yeah, right now it's no, but that can change. And I think, again, drones are a part of the future. They are not the future.
Right.
We need to look at this holistically, but they are a scary part. And so, to your point, we are not meeting the challenges of the moment. We need to get in shape. So,
Yeah. Dylan, thank you for coming on, sharing your expertise, and for being part of Two Way. Grateful to you.
thank you.
All right, Hunter, welcome in. Tell folks who don't know where you are, what's on your mind for the group.
Hey there, I'm Hunter calling from downtown Manhattan. I have a question for you all regarding the New York City mayoral election. I
Yes,
live on Washington Square Park, and I have not seen a single street sign or poster for any of the candidates. And I was wondering if you guys see.
Because it's over.
No, I don't know. Dan, is it possible they're not legal in New York?
I was just going to say, I don't think, I mean, you can put it on a street pole, but
So that's where you guys in New York draw the line.
No, I don't. Yeah, I mean, the rats would just eat them. I don't know. I think they must be illegal in New York because I've never seen a political.
People
poster.
put them on their balconies, like signs for stuff in the windows.
I've never seen one.
Yeah.
My question was if you guys thought, or you see Cuomo making any traction on Mamdani and whatever happened with Adams becoming the
we're in the midst of a not very widely covered but real spate of rumors that Adams is in fact getting out. So I don't know if he is or not, but there's talk of him still getting out. They're not getting Curtis out, and there's no indication in the data that Cuomo can win in a three-way if Curtis stays in. So even if Adams gets out, and the other thing is Mondami's number in the four-way has moved up. Dan's previous position notwithstanding, he does not have a ceiling of 42. He's more at 45 or 46. Yep. And if he's at 45 or 46, he's not going to lose a two-way, a three-way, or a four-way, and he may not even lose a two-way. So right now, we'll do our percentages for you, Hunter. Sean, what's percent chance that Mondami wins?
100.
100. Dan?
85.
85.
Might as well have had it.
Now, remember, we still haven't had the debates. There are two debates coming up, and the negative ads have just started. So I put it at about 89. Yeah. But only because the uncertainty about negative ads in the debates.
And I will say this, Mondani's not had a great few weeks. Yeah. I mean, it hasn't mattered, but
I never read the chat, but I see in a glance that Matthew Bartlett says it's over. I'm telling you guys, it is not over. It's not over because he is under pressure. The media is finally covering him in a tough way. Most people aren't paying attention to what's going on yet, and he's not been tested. I don't say it's over till the debate.
I agree with you completely.
I'm telling you, don't say it's over till the debate.
I haven't seen a significant debate performance in anything, even a presidential that I'm trying to think of.
We just talked about New Jersey. It can happen.
That's the debate isn't what I think it did it. He hammered on that issue, but that's also been backed up by ads.
It'd be part of it. But like for instance, he some of his positions that are to the left of the electorate are now getting attention. Yep. And just some people haven't paid attention.
And he's not defending them. He's trying to backpedal and find middle ground, which is causing the press to kind of pounce in on him a little bit because he's, again, Mark, to your point, he's not had a great few weeks.
Yeah. Hunter, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, guys.
He's your mayor.
Exit questions, mandatory predictions. Schumer and Jeffries. Endorse, not endorse. Dan, Schumer.
No.
Sean.
I'm gonna say, yeah, he's got to do something. He has to get that side of his base happy.
He will endorse Dan Jeffries.
Yes.
Sean.
Yeah. It's
No.
gonna. Why not? It's
Okay,
gonna
so you think the
majority
opposite?
mayor.
I think
They want
Schumer,
a
yes.
ticket.
Schumer, yes. Jeffries, no.
I think Schumer, no, because he knows he's going down anyway, so he's not going to bother. And I think Jeffries looks at being the speaker and says, I need the base.
Andrew, tell us about the origins of your last name.
Oh, I was just thinking about that. So like with Michael, like I'm obviously not originally from America, but so I grew up in England. So like my dad's Irish.
Yeah.
So
Is that an Irish name?
It's an Irish name. It's from a small town in so like just 2 hours from Galway, Roscommon. So like very small town. So
Yeah. And does it rhyme with salty?
That was pretty much my nickname growing up.
Yeah,
So, like,
I figured it's a fabulous name, Andrew Talty.
But no, I appreciate that, and I guess like my mom is originally from Ohio, so I have the American connection. So small town in Ireland to a small town in Ohio, just outside back.
Where do you live?
Like so many Americans.
Where do you live now?
I'm in Durham, North Carolina, which I never thought growing up I would be in Durham, North Carolina, but I absolutely love it. So I'm very happy here.
Do you refer to three or more people as all y'all?
I'm starting to like pick up the twang. I started out migrating down from Massachusetts to New York to DC, and now I'm in North Carolina, which
all
you
need
ever go
to
to a Duke basketball game or?
Funny enough, my next door neighbor is one of the assistant coaches. So I haven't been yet though. So.
All you need to do to fit in is refer to any group of three or more people as all y'all. That's all you need to do. And don't say creek, say crick. Those two things, south of the Mason-Dixon line, all that's required. Appreciate you coming on. Tell us what's on your mind.
Oh, no. I'm very much like everybody else. I kind of got stagnated by over the last 12 years. It's kind of like going from the 2014 being very much liberal thinking, liberal leaning, only referring to one or two media sources, and being blindsided and not being as open-minded, which I feel at university, a study of history. I was always putting myself as a critical thinker and understanding both sides, which is very important. Just in terms of understanding where we've been and also where we have to go. And then I voted for I voted for Hillary. The first time around, I voted for Biden in 2020, and this past year I voted for Trump. So it was kind of like an evolution of going from what my priorities were back whenever I was a little bit younger, and it's kind of evolved to the point where it's not necessarily I see a cultural shift, a societal shift, which I don't really see is going in the best direction in terms of educational, just I guess us kind of degrading one another, both in our dialogue, but also in just how we approach life in terms of I guess I always look at the social media side of things, the Kardashian kind of promotional, just the OnlyFans kind of generation, which I feel is not really incorporating the real values. And first and foremost, America is, to me, is the greatest country in the world. I've been to many places in the world, and America is by far just one of the most accommodating places, the most forward thinking, even though obviously at times we might not agree with one another, but there is so much opportunity and growth here. I feel just the purpose of us moving forward is to come together to have this open dialogue, which we're having here. And I guess me thinking myself as a Democrat, but then moving to Trump is a little disconcerting to me. I'd never thought I would do that.
Andrew, let me stop you there just because I can tell Sean and Dan both have questions or comments. So let them get of what you've said so far. Dan, you first.
So I'm not, Andrew, are you saying that you feel like America is in a bad place, that the political environment is in a bad place? Is that your?
I feel Western politics. It's all we're in a plateau of we just completely sort of like discount one another. It's only one side. There's no real common ground. And whenever I see the one thing that I want to see with like the Democrats, for instance, for me, if I would move back to that particular party, is I want to see people coming. I don't understand why people don't go to the flyover countries to sort of like Texas, Mississippi, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I would respect more people from the Democrat Party who go out there and actually talk to people, even though they might not sort of like have the same values, but it's just sort of like going out there, speaking to people I respect.
Well, I think the biggest thing right now is the world is changing and people are frustrated. One side, the conservatives, I think in most of the Western world, recognize this and are kind of boldly trying to chart a new course. You can agree or disagree with it. I think the Democratic Party and kind of the incumbents around, Western Europe and others can't grapple with, why do people want to change this? Like to them, the economy, the kind of post-World War II world order, everything they think kind of generally speaking worked. And so you have one that can't grapple with, why are we changing and what is this new thing? And the other side is just steamrolling toward a different vision. And therefore, it's hard to try to say, okay, let's have common ground and talk to each other when you just can't grapple with that. And I think the Democratic Party is beginning to get there here. I think in Western Europe, they're still struggling.
Yeah, Sean.
Andrew, is there one issue that brought you to Trump or pushed you away from the Democratic Party?
So I have two young boys, and I think just having them, there was a particular moment when my 3-year-old, well, back whenever he was 3, so like at his school, so like they were reading some like particular book which I didn't approve of, and a lot of parents had spoke up about that, and I kind of like thought it was just conjecture, this kind of like drag queen story hours with kids, and I don't want to sort of like, I think it's very isolated, those potential incidents, but it's just those kind of things. And the more I just sort of like a societal shift with regards to just common sense. Like I want kids to be kids. I want kids to enjoy themselves. I feel like that's the one thing with Trump. He doesn't want, like, he wants kids to be kids. He doesn't want, so like he approves like the family values, even though that can be debatable from some people. But I just feel like we need to go back to sort of like having more common sense and more sort of like family. Everything should be centered around the family, because I feel like having sort of like a 2-parent household, if that is applicable, obviously there are certain circumstances, but really sort of like creating a family environment where there's a strong male figure, a strong female figure as well. And we kind of sort of like grow our sort of like next generation sort of like appropriately. That's kind of where I was seeing it. And I didn't see that with the Democratic Party, more with the Republicans.
And Andrew, really grateful for coming on, sharing all that, and much appreciate your participation on the platform. Please come back. Sean, what do you have on tonight?
It's Thursday. It's the panel. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about the New Jersey race, Jimmy Kimmel, the government shutdown. Panel's going to run through it all. Mehek Cook from Ohio, Steve Cordez, my former colleague at Newsmax, and Jill Savage of The Blaze.
Give the two I know my best. And interesting, your show does not feature Dan tonight because, ladies and gentlemen, Dan Turrentine is on every two-way today. He's on this program, of course. Coming up, 4 o'clock, Dan, Nina, Emma Jo. Well, no, Emma Jo's off today.
No, Emma Jo's out for the holiday. Yep.
Dan, Nina, and
Amber
Robbie,
Duke.
And Amber Duke, the great Amber Duke.
I'm excited.
Dan on
Where's
the
her
group chat.
photo?
4 p.m. I don't know. Didn't have time to build a new graphic. 4 p.m. Eastern time. Please join them live. Participate in the conversation. Then 6 o'clock, the great Hogan Gidley and Dan will join me on two-way tonight.
Or the president likes to call him Gidley.
Yeah, all the names. I like to call him Gidley Hogan. And then Dan is Michael Moynihan's guest on the Moynihan Report at 7 o'clock. So 4 full hours of Dan Turrentine. Dan is not on next up. I probably would have booked him had I known.
But my former boss is.
But your
Patty
former
Solis
boss,
Doyle.
Patty Solis Doyle, will be there. And my reported monologue on how would-be Democratic presidential candidates are handling the current environment in the aftermath of the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the Kimmel thing as kind of a litmus test and a prism through which to view how they view trying to win
Boy,
votes.
everyone who wants to run should be seeing Kamala Harris in the Palestine issue. Like, that's going to dog them.
Yeah, that'll be table stakes. Very grateful to you all for being part of Two Way and the morning meeting. Dan, Sean, and I will be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time. I will be wearing fairway and green tomorrow. Dan, putting you on notice now for Friday. And of course, on Fridays, we have winners and losers of the week and what to look for over the weekend. So join us for that. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Stay tuned.
Already. Locked them both in.
Stay tuned for Turrentine or Palooza. 3 two-ways coming up. 4 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Thank you for your attention.
Dan, we can. It's
part of his
yes,
media blitz.
Wait, yes,
right.
we did.
There we go. I like it. I need a